Hello, hello. Welcome to this reading. I feel like I should preface this with the fact that this isn't exactly a typical reading, right? I'm not here to just like be the dopamine fuel that happens with a lot of these like readings, right? And people can become addicted to them and start to give their power away, and that's not the goal here. So while I do bring through some messages that are for the collective, it's more so about the wisdom that comes through to be shared regarding the messages. It's all about personal healing, transformation, shadow work, the spiritual journey, alchemy. It's not about, oh, you have this lover coming in, blah, blah, blah. Because at the end of the day, the journey is one within, right? This work is deeply personal, and we're all on this journey of awakening, coming back home to ourselves, and it is my mission to assist as many people with that as I can, not to take their power away. So I'd like to start off by inviting you to close your eyes so you can drop into space and practice strengthening your own intuition and see if this is for you. We set the intention. I'm spinning. We set the intention to drop into our bodies and feel with our hearts if this message is truly for us. We release any fear, limiting beliefs, or lack mentalities that may cause us to cling to messages that are not for us. We sink in to a place of our highest discernment, trusting in our own intuition, wisdom, and personal direct link to source. May only truth, wisdom, healing, and clarity come through this message today, and may it reach those who it's meant for. Thank you. All right. So, before I popped on the video, I did some channeling, some writing, and there was like a bunch of ancestors that wanted to come through. I actually had to be like, y'all, I can only do one at a time. So I think that I'm gonna maybe start be doing more ancestral messages moving forward. We'll see. This was particularly an older woman, and I don't necessarily get the sense that this is an ancestor that people in this collective are aware of. It's further back, and I actually feel the sense that while she showed herself as one being, she's actually representative of a certain like energy signature archetype, right? And so she's not just specifically one person's ancestor that's coming through. She's actually coming through bringing a message of similarities. So she began to dance, like really dance, like I don't know what this move is called, but like dance, and there was like this sense of urgency, right, in her energy. So she's moving, she's dancing, and so immediately I knew that that was a message that you were being called to dance, to move your body, to release those somatic buildups, right? And ancient peoples understood the importance of this, right? The gazelle, when it gets chased by a lion, it shakes off. That energy needs to be moved through us. And that's not taught at this point in the West. It's actually well, this is changing, thank goodness, but it's actually been frowned upon. For example, people on the spectrum will do movements like this, and like it's okay, you're on the spectrum, but like if you're not on the spectrum, yeah, you should sit still. Like you look strange. Why are you acting like that? And it's like, actually, no, our bodies are supposed to move this energy out, and it's not like, you know, you might not be overstimulated and need to do it all the time, like somebody who is on the spectrum. But these somatic movements, releasing that trauma and stress from the body and just like old patterns, that is crucial for everyone. And the ancients knew this, right? This is a lot about getting back to the old ways. The collective that I'm speaking to, you know, you're on this journey of transformation. You know, you're on a spiritual journey. And it's going to look different for all of you, right? But the reason I say that the people that I'm connecting to are aware of this is because you are strictly being asked to go back to more of the old ways. And now a beautiful way to do this, if you are familiar with your own ancestry, is to start to do a little bit of research there. Or if you are a collective that meditates, connects to your guides, set the intention to do so, right? There's a lot of, it's so interesting. It's like slowing down to speed up, right? Because in so many ways, there's so much slowing down that is called for from us. Our society is built on a really unsustainable, fast-paced, dehumanizing foundation, right? Where we're expected to be on all the time. We're expected to answer every text the second it comes in. We're expected to work and work overtime and just like sell our souls. Like, it's insane. And that's why we see that even though we have all this money now as a country and our healthcare is so advanced and we have all these new technologies, people are sicker than ever. People are more anxious and depressed than ever. That is a very clear indication that the system is fundamentally flawed, right? We are nature. We have cycles. We need rest. It's not always right now, produce, be on, blah, all the time. So we're being asked to learn to slow down, go back to the old ways, remember what it is that our ancestors honored and knew was important, not only for how to exist in community, but your own personal well-being, healing, caring for the vessel. And so as she was dancing, I saw fire started to light, right? I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. But it's also sort of a time to speed up, right? Because we're coming into the year of the horse. And that's a year of just like not holding yourself back anymore, of doing that thing that is aligned with you, of really taking those next steps to run wild and free like the horse, right? But to do that, we need to slow down to be able to speed up in a sustainable, heart-centered way, right? And so as she was dancing, these fires were starting to light around her. So that was telling me that this collective is going through this process of reawakening that internal fire, that passion, that drive, the solar plexus, the ability to create in the world, right? So that's coming online. And now this didn't come through in the message, but I'm getting it now. It's important to know that a part of this process there can be anger coming up. There can be like maybe some rage, lots of fiery emotions, right? It's part of the process. Stay mindful, stay rooted, stay grounded, and dance these energies out your body. Dance the energies out your body. Like just let yourself feel if that anger, that rage, whatever it is that's stuck, or if you're feeling, dance, move that out. And it's going to help these fires grow and to move out those energies that's causing like, as they are, right? Okay, so then, yeah, then I saw, the snake, and it shed its skin, this major death cycle that we're coming out of. And then I saw that the skin was taken, it was laid beautifully in a box with, like, flowers and buried, right? So you're being invited to, at this time, have maybe a funeral, or it doesn't have to be that serious, a moment of recognition of this old aspect of yourself that is now dying and kicking and screaming on their way out, right? An old aspect of yourself kept you safe. That old aspect of yourself was not trying to harm you, even if that's how it worked out. And so while it's important to understand that sometimes we need to release old versions and that they're not serving us anymore, that they were only ever there in the first place to serve us, to keep us safe. So it's not about being mean or nasty or like, I'm gonna kill you and I hate you. No, it's like, I love you. Thank you for how you've kept me safe. We're ready to do it in a different way now. And that can be a very emotional process. It can be very emotional. You might cry, like you might recognize that you're dying, and that can be frightening and uncomfortable. But on the other side of that, you then realize, like, whoa, what was I so scared of, but it's natural. It's all natural part of the process. Okay, herbal astrology I'm hearing. There's heavy ancestral support at this time. It's like, I believe collectively we are at a crucial turning point. I believe we are awakening and moving towards unity consciousness, and it's gonna be like a fireworks show, man, getting there. I mean, but there's going to be a new paradigm, right? Humans are shifting, and what the world is going to require from us, what we are going to realize is of value to the whole web of life and the human experience, is going to be very different from what we're used to. So there's a lot of building that needs to take place. There's a lot of personal accountability and stepping up to the plate that needs to take place. There's a lot of one of the old ways in which we need to get back to is, some indigenous tribes would pray for like 7 generations ahead of them. They would pray for their ancestors 7 generations ahead. Back in the day, these indigenous peoples didn't have such a narrow scope of just me, my life, what I can get out of it, and then I'm gonna die and it doesn't matter. They actively cared about the ancestors, their future lineage that was not born yet, right? And so that's one of the things that we're being asked to shift back into. Not only are we building this life for ourselves, right, that we deserve and that we're so worthy of, but to really bring it back into the forefront of our mind that we are a collective, and it is a collective that extends beyond us after we're gone. And what we do when we're here affects that collective. And so we can choose to walk in gentleness and in peace and to consider the whole, or not. And now I do want to just real quick, because if you are like me and you have like savior complex that I've really had to work through, like thinking, starting from when I was like 4, I thought it was my job to fix everybody's problems and save everybody, and like that nobody has that much power, right? So it's not about letting this be some burden for you. Like, oh my God, I have to do everything right because the future generations are depending on me. Like, no, you're just one person. We're all just one person. So it's not about like letting it burden you or put this extra pressure. It's just about broadening the scope to see things a little differently and want better for our future than we have for the future generations than we have for ourselves, right? And like a perfect example of if that mindset was with us still, like when there were student loan forgiveness things, and a lot of people got really upset about that because they had to pay their loans back. Yes, I understand that that's like frustrating, but in my opinion, I think that we shouldn't want future generations to suffer just because we did. We should be grateful that things have changed and that they don't have to. And like, I wasn't involved in that. I didn't have any debt, so this isn't even a personal story, but it's just a good example of wanting people to suffer because you suffered, wanting it to be hard for them because it was hard for you, instead of wanting to make things easier and better and more sustainable for the future generations. And see, everything's so nuanced, right? Because that can go too far too. And that's why it's not black and white, it's all nuanced. But like when things are made too easy, right, too straightforward, like values still need to be instilled in people so that they understand the value of things, right? But yeah, I mean, I could just go into like nuance and digging into that in a million different angles all day. We're not going to do that. Hopefully you get the gist. But while we're on it though, I feel, this is coming up for a reason. Take the time to work on expanding, looking at and understanding nuances. This is really, really important for the spiritual path in general. Like, realizing that nothing is black and white, right? And while there are certain things that apply in certain areas, they might not in others. And something can be both very bad and very good, depending on the perspective that you're looking at it through, or the lens of the person. And so nuance is incredibly important, and we can use our discernment to sift through that, right? But then also, especially when we're building something in the world, like let's say you're going to create a business, and this is something where you're going to be working with other people, understanding nuances and subtleties will be wildly helpful for you there. And now this has been an interesting journey for me because my little neurodivergent ass had very black and white thinking about a lot of stuff, and just getting that cracked open left and right as a part of my spiritual awakening, especially when I had the Kundalini awakening, it was just like, and just forever more and more opening up to see like subtleties and nuances, and it's quite the journey. And so yeah, if you're someone who's like prone to black and white thinking, and you think maybe like your mindset is like that, you can't change out of that. I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for anybody else, but I know that that was something I was able to expand within myself, even though it might not have been natural to me. So I don't know, I think we are all so much more capable of expanding than we think, and it can feel really strange, especially at first, to hold like two contrasting or paradoxical ideas together simultaneously, like knowing that they can both be true for you, yet be like starkly contradicting, is wild. But we're multidimensional. That's the human experience. Yes. That is a sexy spread. So, cat's claw, purification. Mugwort psychic healing. This is so funny. This reminds me of the ancestor that I was seeing. So these two are really speaking to me about that dancing, right? There's old energies that are stuck in your body that only so much shadow work and journaling is going to fix. Like, you need purification and you need to move your body. These energies get stuck in our fascia, which is like a net, essentially, that holds everything together, the muscles, the tendons, and I think it might actually be our biggest organ, and it's like not talked about very much, but it's very like affected by spiritual ascension too. So like moving the body, and do it intuitively, right? Because here, the other one, magician. You have this magic, you have this connection. This isn't about like going to look outside of yourself, like, how do I do this? No, put on music that resonates with you, maybe light a candle. You can call in your ancestors and guides to dance with you, right? If you feel called to that, move intuitively, drop into your body, just feel your body, make sure you're breathing, and your body will tell you where to move. You'll feel called to do it. Like, no one's watching, just let it all go. And that's going to lead to massive psychic healing, because we're all connected: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. What affects one ultimately affects the whole, right? Initiation. This is opening up. This heart is coming out. You are birthing this new creation into being, and it's going to be sweet, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be heart-centered and of service to the collective. Beautiful. This is actually my first time ever drawing this card. Coca, foresight. And then elder, wisdom. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that's massive King Arthur vibes, right? This initiation, you are coming into your power, being the ruler of your own destiny. Like, deadass, I'm connecting to the same collective, I swear, like day after day. And again, there might be some, but if these resonate, maybe check the old ones. I don't know. It's just funny. But I also know, again, collectively, as we're coming into the year of the horse, so many of us are going through this transformation. Like I said, humanity is awakening. It's a really exciting time to be alive. And like, I know there's a lot of chaos and darkness and frightening things going on. Trust that that is a necessary part of the process, of the clearing, of making everything be seen so that it can be addressed. There is no light without casting it into the dark, right? So, foresight, interesting. This is touching to me in the nuance too, like wisdom. Whatever you're going to be building, you're going to be a leader in this, right? It's very important that you move with grace, have foresight, be in touch with your intuition and your wisdom, and you have a lot of it, right? You've been through these processes that have taken you to this point, and that's why you made it to the sword, right? You are pulling this sword out. Oh. I think that's all we're going to do from this side. I just spilled the water! Oh my god. Oh, sorry, water. You trying to tell me we're done with here? I'm going to pull from one more deck. I might still pull from one more deck. I might have just knocked over the water. Sacred water in my really sacred cup. Yo, this is what I was using to hold the water, yo. I don't play. I mean, I guess I do play. You know what? I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this because it's happening, so it's probably important. They're like, yes, tell them. I had like massive issues with perfectionism and feeling like I needed to show up for this work in a certain way, and that I would be unworthy if, like, I hadn't properly cleaned my vessel and cleaned my space and I didn't have this whole perfect, like, thing. And I, as a being who not only had CPTSD, but neurodivergence, I really struggled with executive functioning skills, right? And then also situations where I found myself being very responsible for other people and their stuff that I should never have been responsible for, and parentification and all of that. So, like, I have lived life oftentimes with few spoons, as they say these days. And that really created a lot of, like, shame in me as a practitioner. You know, I felt I got invited. The spirits were like, hey, shamanic path. And I'm like, okay. And then they, like, kicked my ass a bunch and, you know, that whole thing. And so often throughout that process, I hesitated to show up, or I was really hard on myself because I felt like I wasn't showing up the right way. And that my good wasn't good enough. And as I've gotten into deeper and more personal and intimate relationship with my guides, I've realized that that's not the case, right? And then more importantly than that, as I've gotten deeper into relationship with myself and with loving and valuing myself as I am with what I have to offer, and letting that be enough, and dead ass, like, adopting the mindset that, like, if this isn't good enough for the guides or the ancestors, then, like, those don't have to work with me. Like, we all have free will. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not good in it, like, if this isn't vibing with you, then we don't have to work together. Like, there will be guides that, like, I will tell you again and again, my guides have shown me that, like, it's all about intention. It is all about intention. And, like, old me would have been like, I need to, like, find the perfect vessel, and then I need to go into ceremony and cleanse it and paint it and spend days consecrating it, and then I can use it. And, like, as I'm starting to open up more, and they're like, nah, be a child, play. Remember when you were a little kid and you would play all the time, and, like, you're taking this shit way too seriously. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play. And so, like, I was painting and doing stuff, and I, like, had this little cup, and I was like, you know, maybe I could just use this on my altar. It's small. And then I'm like, I can't use that. And they're like, use it. Use it. Be so basic with it. Just use it. It doesn't matter. It's your intention. The water, the spirit, like. So if you're on this spiritual path, don't, how do I want to word that? Don't get in your own way due to stories of unworthiness that were bred into us, right? And then also these, like, stories that are bred into us that, like, love requires reciprocity. Like, oh, someone's gonna love you only if you do this, or, like, only if you show up this way, or that. That's not unconditional. That's not unconditional love. And I don't know about y'all, but I spent a long time receiving conditional love, and that ain't it. Ancient forest. You're being brought back in time, in memory. Our ancestors, they exist in our DNA, as I heard someone say, in our bones. And that's so beautiful. So that memory exists inside of you cellularly, and it's being awoken at this time as you're being guided back to these more ancient practices. It's funny, I sense, right, I've been told, and makes sense to me, for sustainability, that a lot of our future advancement is going to be about going back, right? But not like it was before. nuance, right? Oh, we need to go back to the old ways. That doesn't mean, okay, so we need to get rid of the new ways. No, it means that we need to bridge them and find something sustainable where they benefit each other as opposed to working against each other, right? Because now it's like we have the old earth ways and the new tech ways, and they work against each other, but it doesn't have to be that way. Doesn't have to be that way. So many things can be simplified, and that would take a massive burden off of Mother Gaia. Massive burden. For example, like something as simple as if we just committed to eating more locally, like as countries or as states or as province, wherever, right? Because it's like, I was talking to my friend about GMOs and whether you agree with them or don't, whatever. She was like, well, the value in them is now produce can be shipped, right? And it's like, but why are we doing that? Now that's all that shipping gas that's wasted. Oh, because you need to have like a peach in November? No, you don't. Like, I'm sorry. I know it can be nice and sometimes, but like realistically, there's just so many comforts that we've grown accustomed to that take like massive production means and like a massive tax on nature, and they're not necessary. And like our bodies are nature too, so we actually thrive more when we eat the foods that are seasonal and like local to us, or what our ancestors grew up eating. It sort of depends, and again, everybody's body is different, right? But yeah, this is beautiful. I'm gonna peek in the book just to see if there's anything else that wants to come through about that, but your roots go deep. Incredible, radiant healing strength is available to you and grows within you. Do not doubt your abilities. You are so much more than you can possibly imagine. There is immense, unseen, but very real support around you. You are loved and cherished. You are grounded, stable and strong as your spirit reaches high into the heavens. So yeah, like I said, you have massive ancestral support around you right now, like big things. Like they're like, this is the time that we've all been waiting for, and like people that are alive now, we're out here doing this shit, and like they're here to help us, and that's so beautiful. And like one thing I just want to add to that, Grandmother Earth is popping out. Grandmother Earth, we're gonna be helping to heal Grandmother Earth, coming back into unity with Grandmother Earth, right? And people are going to tell stories about this. People are going to tell stories about this into the future. As you step into being wise elders, creating this. And look, the last one. Tribal spirit dancer. Dance these movements. Dance these energies out of your body. Well, if you liked this message, if you resonate with me or whatever, you like the way I read, feel free to like or subscribe. Yeah, I really hope that this is of value, and I love you, whoever you are.